Welcome to Mishnah study. Masechet Sheviit Perek Yod Mishnah Bet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to continue discussing the laws of what is canceled out and what loans are not canceled out. It's very much a continuation of last Mishnah. We're going to open up with an interesting case of, we have to remember Rosh Hashanah in general. Today we keep 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, right? Even though we know when it's going to fall out. Back then, in the earlier times, Mishnah times, they would keep 2 days of Rosh Hashanah misafek even. Right? They weren't sure. They weren't sure if the first day that they were keeping was going to be the first of Tishri, or is it going to be the 30th of Elul? They weren't sure, so they kept one day. If it ended up being Rosh Hashanah, right? Beit Din came and they said Mikudash, and this is Rosh Hashanah. Okay, this ended up being the first of Tishri. Let's say though no one came, then they end up keeping that first day as Lamed Elul, and the next day they keep as Rosh Hashanah. So let's say someone comes and he's getting ready, he's having a holiday meal, his first day of Rosh Hashanah, he slaughters a cow for everyone, and he's going to give it out. He's giving it out to some family, friends, everyone's going to pay him back. So he gives everyone, some steaks, all right? Everyone's going to come after the holiday and pay him back. So if it was on the Aleph Tishri, okay, that's great. Right? He lent them, he gave them, as a loan, some meat, and they're going to pay him back the next day. But let's say he went ahead and he slaughtered the cow, and it ended up being that it was Lamed Elul. They weren't Mekadesh the Chodesh. They didn't say that this is today's Rosh Hashanah, rather tomorrow is going to be Rosh Hashanah. Now he ended up lending, right? And now ends up being a loan. Everything, all the meat that he gave out was part of last year. Now Rosh Hashanah comes and it cancels out debts. So is he allowed to collect the money of what he gave out for all the meat that he gave out the day before? That's how Mishnah is going to open up. Someone slaughtered a cow. And he divvied it out, he gave it out to friends and family on Rosh Hashanah, expecting to get paid back the next day. If it was a leap month, right? Meaning that the month ended up being 30 days, and that day that he gave out slaughter the cow was not Rosh Hashanah, it was Lamed Elul, then it's Mashmit, then the loans get canceled out. Being Lav, Eno Mashmit. But if not, right? If it was Aleph Tishri, okay, Eno Mashmit, then it doesn't get canceled out, right? Because then already he gave out everything on the next year, and it was already after the cancellation of the loan, time passed. Right, this is someone by Minan, you raped or was consensual, right? Or Hamotzi Shemra, he spread bad rumors about a girl. So the Torah speaks about all these, and there's a fine to them, right? Each one has a specific fine. He needs to pay. He needs to pay up to the girl's family. Now, let's say he didn't pay on time. Does this also get canceled out? Also Ma'aseh Betin. All these enan mashmitim, these don't get canceled out. So the first three, right, Harambam says over here, why not onesim mefatem motzi shemra? He says because they're not like other loans. Rather, it's a chiyuv, it's an obligation that's set on that person, and he can't get rid of that until he does what Hashem said that he needs to do to get rid of it, to pay it off. Right? Only then is he could come clean. Right? It's interesting over here, like the case of Mishna, everyone really tries to understand what exactly is Harambam saying over here, right? The case of Mishna, Maran, he actually says that, right? Any yored the sof hiluk zeh. I can't really get to the point exactly of what the logic of what Harambam is trying to introduce over here as to why the person who raped and consensual motzi shemra, and what's the difference between this and a loan? Like what exactly is going on over here? Some people try to actually say that over here the difference is where it's coming from, right? They try to set it more like a heftzah gavra type of thing, right? Meaning, is it when it comes to a regular loan, it's not necessarily on the person to pay back. Because the idea is that the guy needs to get paid back, right? But over here, when it comes to a fine, right, the fee needs to be paid up by the person who violated. Right, so it's more of a chiyuv on that person himself. Okay, it's interesting. Exactly. You can look into it a little more if you're interested. Also, similarly, all the maaseh betin, anything that a bet din does, also that does not get canceled out. Why anything that a bet din does not get canceled out? So the Talmud explains over here that this is the psak of a dayan, right? Once the dayan says this is the law, this is what you need to get paid, right? That already doesn't get canceled out anymore, because the second the dayan commands, right, and says you need to pay up, now it already turns into it's as if he already collected it, right? So as if the bet din already collected it, and now this person must pay up. Yeah, that's the case of the bet din, right? So anytime there's a bet din, and this is going to come into very important context in the next Mishnah also when it comes to the Piros Bol, and we'll explain. The next part of the Mishnah is Hamalveh al Mashkon. Let's say someone lends money over a collateral, right? So let's say, someone lent me money. I gave him my watch, in the interim, okay, and now this person has my watch. Okay, now the Shemitah comes. Now I don't know, okay, so that's it. He can't collect money from me anymore. But what about the watch? Right? So the rule that we have is Ba'al Chov Koneh Mashkon. The person gets to keep the collateral. He doesn't have to return the collateral. He gets to keep the collateral, even if the Chov, the loan, was canceled out. And therefore, by the way, if let's say the collateral itself, right, was less than the was less than the amount lent, right? So, someone gave a watch, it was a $3,000 watch, but he took a $5,000 loan. So that difference, that's all that gets canceled out, because the guy gets to keep the watch, but he has to forgive the balance, right, the loan. If someone gives his shtarot to the bet din enan mashmitin, this is really important, right? If a person gives his contracts to the bet din and say, could you collect this for me? At that moment, also, that loan does not get canceled out. And why is this? Because the pasuk says, what your friend has, that's what get canceled out. And over here, because he stuck the bet din, right? The bet din is the one who now it's the chov, and it's not his friend, it's not his brother anymore. And therefore, what the bet din has, they are allowed to go collect. And this is going to be an opening for what Hillel is going to be metaken in the next Mishnah.